everybody. This is Jenny with Still Roses podcast. This podcast was created for women by women to elevate women's voices. This is just a little minisode that I wanted to post this on Wednesday of this week, but I had to give myself some grace because I had some new things happening this week that I wanted to adjust to and make sure that I was giving my full attention to. For those of you that follow me, I think on LinkedIn, you saw that I did start a new role with a new agency. So I wanted to make sure my first week, I was really focused on what I was doing, making sure I'm paying attention. And, in those moments, you have to just prioritize, what do you really need to get done in the moment? And so the podcast had to hold for a couple of days, which always makes me a little bit sad. But to be perfectly honest with you, how often do I preach and get on a soapbox about giving yourself grace and prioritizing what you need to prioritize, glass ball versus rubber ball theory, which we've talked about a couple of times? That was me this week. I had to give myself some grace. If you haven't heard me talk about glass ball versus rubber ball, that concept, it's presented in different ways. So you can look this up, but essentially it's saying that you look at the things that you need to get done in a day. You decide, I know tasks, 1 through 5, if I don't get them done today, that's it. It's bad. These are highly urgent. These other ones I'd like to get done today, but if I need to, they can be done tomorrow. That is a method that I had started using, several years ago. I learned it at one of my other agencies, and it's something I've just carried with me throughout because it makes sense. You don't have to get everything done every single day. So I want to give that example to all of you. Like, sometimes you have to pivot, and it's okay to pivot, and you're not a failure if you don't get everything done. It just is what it is. I'm also getting a little bit sick, and by that I mean I will raise my hand and say I have a cold and I can't seem to shake it. So that's another reason why I'm trying to just give myself a little bit of grace here, which I never used to do before. So plug for all the younger women that are listening to this podcast. If you're in your 20s, if you started prioritizing yourself and your health and your wellness now, and you didn't push yourself when your body was telling you, I need a break, I'm very curious to see how much better you would be in your 40s than I am, because I'm okay, but nevertheless, I feel like I probably could have done better for myself. Also, I'm a little concerned because now my tonsils are starting to get a little sore, so I probably will try not to talk a lot for most of today. Anyway, tomorrow's podcast is a guest episode that's airing. So Sunday date will be Sunday, January 19th is our first guest episode for the Winter Spring series of season 3. Kicking us off is Yana Barrett. I interviewed her back in November, and she really is a fun, light of a human being. I think a lot of the women that come onto the podcast have that energy. Majority of them do, but that's also because that's really the energy and vibe of the podcast. We want people to come here that are going to really share their story, and they're going to share how they overcame things. So Yana is no different than that. She does share her personal journey, going through some painful situations, and really becoming empowered through them. Some of the key takeaways that I wanted to just highlight, practical tips that for integrating physical activity into a busy lifestyle. We do talk on the podcast about overall well-being, but we do talk a lot about exercise habits. Exercise, my sister-in-law, actually, we were talking about this the one day, and excuse me, again, cold. My sister-in-law and I were talking about this the one day, that we both feel like going to the gym feels like a luxury to us. And it feels like a luxury because to us in our heads, we're deprioritizing it as something that doesn't need to happen. Glass ball, rubber ball, right? But the truth of the matter is, going to the gym, and let me rephrase this, exercising, not necessarily going to the gym. Exercising is actually really critical to women's health. We get to our 40s and we start to lose muscle mass and bone mass. It's incredibly important for our well-being going into perimenopause and into menopause and into our 50s, 60s, 70s, that we do have strong exercise habits. Now, going to the gym is not for everybody. It was for me at one point. I had the routine of going because it fit into my schedule pretty easily. Moving to our current town and with our children's school schedule, it doesn't work for me anymore. I never go to the gym. I still pay for the gym. Yes, that's right. I'm wasting $24 a month and I need to cancel it. But it's just not for everybody. Weightlifting is not for everybody, although I will say that it's pretty important for women, again, to build muscle. It sounds crazy and to say like women needing to build muscle, but we really, really do need that because the older we get, again, we start to lose it. And we don't want to be, women that are just not able to function and do things, when you get into your 40s and 50s. Like for me personally, I feel like my 40s are almost my prime, although prime mentally for sure. Physically, I told my husband the other day, today I have a cold, but I told him, I'm like, physically, I feel my best right now than I have in my entire life. Now, I think that I can attribute that to, I don't drink alcohol at all. Skincare is very light and it's very, I want to say organic in a lot of ways, in the sense that like, I don't wear makeup. I'm very careful about like certain things that I put on my face. And then, I'm a vegetarian. I've talked about that a couple of times on here. And by that, I mean, I've probably talked about it more than a couple, but the vegetarian diet, I think, has done quite a bit for my health and wellness. Because I feel physically the best that I've ever felt in my entire life, minus this cold that's bothering me. So it's really important to build that foundation of wellness as soon as you can. Listening to this and you're in your 20s and you're saying to yourself, well, I have time, I feel great, my body can handle it. I used to say stuff like this, like when I was in my 20s, and I would be like, oh, it's all right. I bounce back so fast. And I really, when I was in my 20s, it was a very interesting earlier Jenny version, very much live by the seat of my pants. I'm going to do whatever I can today because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like I really didn't have any like forward thinking thoughts. I was very live in the moment. And while it served me in some ways, health wise, I could have done better. Now, had I started taking supplements consistently in my 20s and 30s, I'd probably be in a better position. Had I maintained an exercise routine, like a real actual exercise routine. There's so many people that are trainers now. There's so much information online. Like there's so much easier now to get yourself into a good wellness state. And again, you don't need to go to the gym. Now, the reason why I'm saying that also is because besides the fact that I don't go to the gym, impulse purchase last night was a wall Pilates plan that I'm planning to engage in over the next 6 months or so, because my family's going on a big vacation in June. And I'm like, let me try to make things less wobbly for that vacation. So it's kind of just all these things happening at the same time. So I wanted to share all that with you. I think the episode tomorrow is going to be really important, really encouraging, advocating for yourself and providing resources for women to explore fitness and movement that's aligned with your needs. Again, you don't have to be at the gym for 2 hours. The wall Pilates program that I downloaded that's like supposed to be customized, for me, 10 minutes a day. Like I can find 10 minutes. Like it's going to happen. Like if I don't find 10 minutes, like I'm ridiculous. So these are all things that we really need to start thinking about as women, prioritizing yourself. Now, the episode airs Sunday at, I think, 8 a.m. You can listen to it whenever you want. We also had our introductory episode for season 3 last weekend, so take a listen to that. We had my guest was Melissa, who used to be my former co-host. And season 3 kicking off, again, a lot of amazing guests coming your way. I'm going to try to do little intro episodes for each guest episode, so that way you guys know what's coming the following weeks, if you want to tune in or not. And then again, the live feed. So those are happening as well. If you are interested in hearing a specific topic, if you have questions for a guest and you want to reach out to me directly, feel free to do it. I'm here. Like I love engaging with everybody. So I hope you all had a wonderful week last week. I hope you're having a great weekend. We have in the States, we have a long weekend this weekend, and enjoy the episode tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with me for a couple of minutes today, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.